I go to Office Depot, get my cards made, but then I construct them myself. And I can spend 3 or 4 days just making cards. I love that kind of drudge work. I enjoy it. Some people are like, that's boring. I go, no, I just put the music on and then I produce my own cards. I also mat my own work and do my own framing. Like, I do buy my frames. I would have loved to learn how to miter a frame and save some money making my own frames, but haven't got there yet, so.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
I know.
I just sound
Sometimes you just
better
have to
to
choose.
buy.
Sometimes you have to choose. So, preparation and organized. I've become very organized. Like, I have my winter months where I draw, and then I watercolor, then I make frames, matting, prints, and then by April or so, I'm ready for some festivals. And if I was younger, I think I'd be doing a lot more festivals. I'm kind of trying to amp it up a little bit right now and do more. And didn't have a lot of retirement. I have held down jobs on the side, but for retirement, my art is happening. So that's good. I'm making some sales every month. I get income from my art. It's not exactly, it's regular, but there are months that are a little bit slow, but it's working out for me probably the last 5 years more, so. Since I quit my job.
Right.
Yeah, I worked with Michelle. Yeah, we worked at a school about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah, since then, really, I took a chance and I just jumped. I said, I'm gonna do this full time and this is gonna be my retirement, so.
Yep, you sure did.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm so proud of you.
Oh,
I love working
That's
with
it.
your
there you go.
printmaking.
Mhm.
I get to see your work up close and see the detail, and I appreciate being part of your business.
Oh, all right, awesome, yeah, thank you. And being good in business, I mean, it's learned. I didn't have a mentor or anything, I just figured it out over the years. Shameless self-promotion, I don't know if any of you knew Kimberly Cleland, but that was her shameless self-promotion. And I'm like, I always think that now, it's like, it doesn't bother me to call a magazine every so often, say I'd like to be featured. I just did some new drawings in Richmond, because I started out here in 2002 and I drew a lot of Richmond art and Rosenberg. You'll see in my slideshow. But I don't have a problem with that. I've been doing that since I was very young. And when I lived in Canada, I'll show you one here, but I actually did sweaters for about 7 years. I also did art, but I also knitted sweaters. And I was in boutiques, and couple boutiques, and starting to make sales, starting to come together in the early 90s. And I didn't have a hard time calling the newspaper and say, hey, I've got a fashion show. You know, cover, you know, it's different now. I think nowadays, all these newspapers and magazines, it's much harder. Back then it was kind of free. I would just call and they would cover the fashion show. So I don't know what happened in the last 30 years, but things are getting more expensive just to advertise. It's kind of hard sometimes and expensive. So being good in business is the most fascinating kind of art. Making money is art. I've run into artists that, you know, they're not so interested in making money. They're more about your status as an artist, one-person shows. But for me, I just had to find something I could appeal to people. And for me, it's the tourist business, going down to Galveston, doing a market, selling to the tourists. Some artists but they say, oh, it doesn't matter if I don't sell, but then they sell and they're jumping up and down. So I don't know about that. They're jumping up and down happy because they don't sell. So actually selling art is also a business, just learning what works for you, whether it's regional or in a small town, or, you know, maybe the portrait business or a pet portrait business. like Claudia Garcia, what's her name, Claudia Diaz. I
Diaz.
remember, yeah. She's an awesome artist. So, everybody's creative, everybody's talented, it's discipline, it's just, you gotta like create, you've gotta, it's rigorous, like some of the things I do, like, you know, working in the winter, matting, framing, and some people don't like the drudge work, but I'm fine with it, it's part of it. So, you have to develop a work ethic, and it takes time and dedication. So, here we go. All right, there it is. There's a difference between a hobbyist and a professional artist. The professional shows up every day, even when inspiration doesn't. Like I said, I don't always feel inspired. I'm a night owl. I get up in the morning and I don't do a whole lot till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I start moving, and I stay up really late, and that's where I do most of my drawings, is very late at night. I've been known to prop up in bed, because I work small, so I can prop up in bed and draw this. So it's not hard, but it's just keeping weird hours works for me, but not everybody, so. So you're not always inspired, but it takes some dedication, I think. There you go, whoops. Making money is art. It actually is an art. And working is art, and good business is the best art. Just meeting people, it's all started for me in communities. When I lived in Redwater, Alberta, when I did that plaque, one of the first things I did, I had my new daughter, but I went to the tourist bureau, and I went to see if they needed a postcard. And I designed a postcard. It was a town of 500. And they had I'm like, okay, I'll do a postcard for the town. So this little A-frame tourist bureau, and my postcard, I did several postcards, and they were for sale in there, and I just went from there. And people start seeing that you're active in the community, helps a lot. It helps a lot. And people will ask, you know, you want to draw my house, or, you know, can you do portraits, or, you know, so the year or the 2 years we were there was quite productive, considering. I thought I'd have my daughter and that would be it. I wouldn't have time, but it was time. There was, I had motivation, but I also just was dedicated to doing art, no matter what, so, yeah. And even jobs, like over the years, jobs I've held down, especially when I bought my house. I took jobs that were less, like more, not career jobs. Like I was a teacher's aide for 9 years. And I always found work on the jobs, as I was saying before. I worked for the school district for 10 years. That's where I met Jill Haberman and you. And I ended up doing murals in the lunchroom. People were like, oh, Nina's gonna do a mural. I'm like, sure. At ALC, where I worked for 6 years, I did a mural in the lunchroom there, and then the teachers were always like, you know, they would pay me to decorate their door. And I did a mural in one of the classrooms, so it always worked out, and they would pay me, so. And the same thing with Home Depot. I worked for Home Depot for 6 years, 2006 through 2012. I started out as a appliance person, so they trained me and all that, and I did that for a year. And then they needed someone to make signs, so they go, we're gonna create this job for me, like a position. So I was sign captain, but that developed into murals again. So I've got pictures coming up of my Home Depot murals. They're a little blurred because it was almost 20 years ago, but that was a lot of fun. And they gave me a stipend, so I would go to other Home Depots. So I ended up in Sugarland Home Depot, Missouri City, a couple in Sugarland, one was on Highway 6, and Rosenberg Home Depot. So it helps, I think, in a community to be there for a while, and just reach out, get to know people. I've also met people from showing at the Railroad Museum. They have a gift store, wherever there's a gift store and people, I love that we have a gift store here now. I think it's awesome. A lot of people have smaller work. They're not selling masterpieces, so it's nice and we make regular sales at the gift store, and I've always gravitated to gift stores as well as galleries. And some of the great mansions in Galveston have gift stores. I know Galvez does, Guido's restaurant has a gift store, and I've reached out to be in the gift store there. And what's nice is just in the last 5 or 6 years, I sell at the gift shops around Galveston. I'm also in Amy Lane, several gift stores. And you start developing just an income. You start getting an income every month from these various places. So I look forward to that. That's my retirement. So yeah, making money with artists can be pretty awesome. So moving on, here's some of my rules. Some of them I haven't obeyed very well, but I tried. Golden rule number 1 is specialize in a small niche. So if you're really good at one thing, try everything. At first, when you're learning art, try different mediums. And I developed a niche with my pen and ink. For a while, it was my printmaking. And not so much now. Printmaking is very expensive. I love teaching it, but that's working with the plates and producing a plate and then printing by hand on a press, which I do in my studio at the gift shop. But specialize in a small niche if you can, and go from there. And I just got good at drawing and illustrating. And I wasn't always illustrating. I majored in painting, like a lot of people, painting and graphic design. And I just started drawing like this. I started in about 1998. So, and develop a core skill. Here's the second one. Choose a niche that you enjoy, where you can excel and stand a chance for leadership. Do something you love to do and go from there. And you can be an example to somebody else or give them advice on selling art if they're interested. So that's what I mean about leadership, though, is just, people ask me advice here at Fort Bend Art Center about art and galleries and so on, and I'm always saying it's not always galleries. You just get out there, do community festivals, do art festivals. There's a difference with art festivals. I tend to do okay in community festivals because with this art, because there's so many tourists in Galveston. I also have pelicans and stuff. I do have more coastal art, but my main focus would be the historic drawings and the scenery. So, realize that knowledge is power. Ask people advice. Just ask people that are in business, the art business. Ask them their advice and what they recommend as far as venues to show in. This is a little iffy. I wonder if the batteries. There you go. Identify your market and core customers. For me, it's like I like to draw. I become very involved in these small towns. I love the history. So that's my market, is just finding historic places and illustrating them. And core customers are the people that love their towns, that have a lot of pride in their town. And there's a lot of that in these small towns, Richmond and Rosenberg. And when I do the Richmond show, people who like to collect, they love the buildings, they appreciate the history, they will be more likely to purchase my art. Identify where 20% of effort yields 80% of returns. Oh boy, this is one I messed up at one point, several times, but the first big time I messed up with this one was I think it was 2001, I did a show in Homer, Alaska. My dad was going up there, and he was like, "Oh, it's so quaint there. It's, there's a lot of it's far. It's probably 4,000 miles from here." I actually had a lot of coastal art at that time, etchings, prints, originals as well. And I just made a big box and I got the show and mailed it up there. And I remember 20 years ago, it was probably like $300 to mail a box. I would never do that nowadays. That's expensive. But it was good for my resume, and I thought, well, why not? Why not? They're looking for somebody. And I was in that show for 3 months, and I made about 3 sales. It wasn't great, and it just, probably because I wasn't a local or something. I don't know what happened there, but they sent everything back, so I probably broke even. I broke even on that one. And there's times, you can't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes you just break even, So there's times I'm here at the gift shop, and I've got my rent, which is $135, and there's some months I don't make $135, but there's months like I do, and I started teaching, so yeah, you want to make your money back, so make a profit and learn from the best. Ask advice. Click. Okay, become self-employed early in your art career, if you can. Sometimes life just gets in the way. I've had things happen, like I looked after parents for 3 years total. I didn't do a whole lot of art those years, 2000, around that time. I also had a small child, but there are ways. If you're serious about it, start young if you can. And not everybody does, and some people are good at the marketing business and they do okay. Use outside contractors. I don't always obey this one either for everything. Mats, frames, I don't cut my own frames, I don't make my own frames, but I would love to be able to do that. But I buy my frames. I put them together, but it just reduces time once you start getting commissions and you're busy and a little bit overwhelmed. It's nice to know that you've got a printer working on your prints, your cards, or whatever you do that's other than just producing art. It's nice to have somebody cut your mats for you sometimes. Sometimes I hire for that, but I enjoy doing, like I said, the drudge work is fine with me, so. Any questions on that? Okay.
I'm curious about your pen and ink. What do you use?
Oh, pen and ink. Micron pens and Pentel. Yeah, I basically draw with pencil. My process here is pencil drawing, and then I ink it over.
Is it a waterproofing?
Is it a?
Waterproof ink?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, because I drink coffee a lot, and I've always got my coffee there, and I can make a mess. And my house is hysterical, because I have 3 cats that wander around, and they'll chew mats and stuff, or they've totally attacked this. I've got cat scratches all over this leather binder. By the way, I'm gonna pass this around. So my studio in my house has clotheslines in it. So when I do a new piece, it gets put up on the line to dry or just to store, because I got these little furry bodies walking around and hair gets everywhere. It's kind of, they're a pain sometimes, but I love cats. This is the Galveston collection. Start here. Along the cat scratch.
Yeah.
That was last night.
Oh my God.
I put it out. I was like, oh, nice leather. Yeah. So outside contractors, if you can afford it, if your business can afford it or allow for it, yeah, that helps a lot. So, okay, got it. I feel like I skipped social media. Just wanna make sure I didn't skip one.
Skip 9.
I know. Okay, 8. Struggle,
You touch the
struggle.
screen?
Can you
Yes.
just double touch,
Okay.
double tap the screen?
Oh, okay.
Try that.
Tapping the screen would work, I'll try that. Golden rule is meticulously organized. I happen to be an organized person, so I'm already ready for my festival next week. It's not like, I'm not gonna stay up all night, I'm gonna try to get my rest. It's a big weekend, so I gotta get the car packed, but I'm ready for it. Set goals like every year. Do my art, do my watercolors, mats, frames, and then get ready for the shows. So make sure you're able to pay for the shows up ahead, like I use Zapplication.com for some of my Texas shows. Make sure those shows are scheduled and paid for, and you have a hotel if you need a hotel. And make sure it's feasible, that you're hopefully gonna cover with the prices and everything, with the artwork that you have in the show, it will be covered, and you'll be able to make your profit. It's nice to be able to make at least what the show costs, and much more, hopefully. And back in the day, I mean, there were times I did a show, $200 show, I'd make 200, it was like, oh my gosh, so things have amped up in the last 5 or 6 years, so I'm really happy for that. I mean, I just feel blessed that, I can have this retirement income come in, or else I'd still be working. Social media, I think it's very important. Some people shy away from it. It's worked for me sometimes on Instagram. I've got commissions. I do coloring books, and just a month ago or so, I did a new coloring book. It just got published, and I listed it. I just put it on Instagram. I post every 5 days or so. So keep it, just keep that continuity going all the time. Don't quit. And somebody saw the book. They saw the back cover of the book, which was part of in the picture. It was illustrated on Instagram. And he said, my house is on there. And it was a Galveston resident, so I ended up, I did have the original and sold an original, which was nice.
Awesome.
That stuff kind of works. And then also on Instagram, I had a lady from California a couple years ago, and she saw I did a lot of Galveston, or a lot of coastal art. She was getting married in Galveston. She wanted a collage, a large collage of all the places. She had some money, all the places that were involved in the wedding, like the events venue, the rehearsal dinner, the restaurants they were using. So she wanted a collage of all these drawings. So I did all the drawings. I charged pretty decently because it was a big commission, and she wanted everything labeled too. And that was what she wanted. That was it. I don't know what, she posted it at the wedding or something, but it was to remember, posterity. So I thought that was an interesting commission. And I've had other ones that were crazy. I've got some pictures I need to show. So I think we're gonna be moving on. Oh, Etsy, a lot of people, a lot of artists have websites, and they think it's like a total necessity to have a website. For me, it's worked without, I don't really need a website anymore. I've got Etsy, so when people ask for a website, I'm like, okay, just go to my Etsy and go to my Instagram. For me, a website is just more work, because you have to promote it day after day or week after week. So right now, I kind of do okay without a website. So it depends. And I'm not looking for to be in any more galleries. For now, it's more markets and that kind of thing. So maybe it's the battery.
Try double tap.
Double click, like, is it double click?
Does
No.
that the screen?
The screen.
Double.
Or tap it?
There you go.
Okay, This is the other day. That is, yep, about a week and a half ago. This is an example of being in a festival in Galveston, and I've got all my price points. The gallery's nearby, so he's got the originals there, over on Post Office Street. But this is on the Strand and 23rd, and this little show went very well. I've got a piece here, I think it's over here. No, it's not. It's of this cruise ship, and the cruise ship was parked, well, docked right nearby. So all these people were coming. We had great people. We had people coming through there. I had magnets. I took off for coffee. It started at 3. Came back from my coffee, and there was a line of people looking at these, and I sold them all off. I had probably 40 or so, and they're small sales. They're small sales, but it's just encouraging how they were selling. And then I've got my cards. These are my books. And my cards here, and these are all small dollar, $50 prints, and then I've got more $50 prints, and then $8 cards and lots of magnets. Those were $6. So it was a nice little festival. It was short, and it was kind of left there with money, and I was happy, sure. And the weather was beautiful, so it was a good deal.
So these all are printed one, right? These all you're
All
selling
printed,
all
yeah.
printed, right?
I figure got my sign here. I figure I put my originals in the galleries, so not always, but most of the time.
How do you do your transactions,
Swipe it
Nina?
with your finger.
Square, I know, it's, do I just swipe? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
here's the cruise ship. Now this one, I had people getting off the Jubilee that day, and I had this piece, and I had about 3 customers, 4, they bought the print,
Very, very
and, cause they
exciting.
can get that in their suitcase.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's working. So, yeah, I was right, that was actually the street I was on, right by the cruise ship. I think it's 23rd Street. I need someone to do this one, okay. There's no secrets to success, it's the result of preparation. We've already been through that one. Yeah, I can't stop stressing this, and that's the second time that slide's come up. How to be successful as an artist. Don't quit, sometimes we wanna quit, especially after a rainy festival. It's, yeah, I've been there. I've had stuff destroyed, International Festival Houston, about 20 years ago. Tent down, broken
Big
glass
man.
everywhere, crying. Well, I wasn't crying, but I wanted to cry. Oh my gosh, that's rough. It can be rough. It's like any other job. It's got its downside. Okay. This isn't working for me. Okay, try again. I think it's the battery.
I'm gonna make you some batteries. Oh, yeah, these are the old
Okay,
batteries.
all right. They're old batteries. Do not quit.
Try your finger again.
Yeah.
Wow. A successful art career consists of 30% creativity, unfortunately, and 70% business. It's a whole lot of work and community. Yeah, that's the hard part. Community stuff, reaching out, getting into shows, call for entry, juried shows, especially at the beginning of your art career, lots of juried shows. Get your, thank you. It did work with my swipe.
And networking?
Networking, social media.
Weird.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you,
Much
Dog.
better.
You're welcome.
Okay, see, it wasn't my fault. 1979, I did mention my home portraits. I still do them. Don't do a load of them, but I do them. And 79, 80, I was in art school. Art school for me was a blast. I think I was privileged to be able to go to art school, and I wanted to make it work. I said to myself, I want to sell art. I want this investment to pay off, and that's part of my motivation. And there's another one. just pen and ink drawings. This was a weird commission. I've had weird ones. This was Indian deities. It's very wonky because it was a tabletop, and that's the only picture I had. But I have done a lot of other different types of projects. Oh, the knitting business. Do you recognize me? That's me.
Oh, really?
1988. I had pumped out hair. Yeah. I did these sweaters for all those years, and this was a fashion show. Had to be 89. My daughter was 3, and a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I've also got a few of these left because when I left Canada in 97, I had a few left over because I was still doing shows, fashion shows, boutiques, but also keeping up with my drawing as well. So that was fun. And there's one more. Oh my goodness, there it is. That's me too, and that was mostly in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So. And these sweaters were embellished with chains, washers, eye screws, anything hardware, metallic. It was very 80s.
Very punk.
Yeah, I kind of punked out. I really wasn't like a punky kind of person, but yeah, I had the hair and everything, but yeah, they're good years. I need to stand back. Here's my press. That just happens to be a statement about this piece, but I talked about the corporate commissions I did, especially the one with the wooden plaque, or the printmaking I did. So, but presses come in pretty useful for teaching and for creating etchings. And etchings is still part of if I'm in a gallery, I've got my etchings in there. And I like etching because it's creating multiples, but they're also considered a fine art. So, and I'm so glad that LSAG is going to be considering etching, printmaking. Okay, that's just my crazy studio at home. Of course, I have a chicken on it.
Okay.
Now this is a commission. I've gotten the weirdest commissions. I'm sure everybody gets them every so often. This was a horse skull, and someone just wanted me to
There you go.
put the deer. It was an axis buck, I think, and they wanted me to glue this. I did a really good job gluing that. It was solid, and then I sold it to them. So
It's a unicorn. It's a unicorn.
I think it should have been painted. They wanted it plain, just plain like it was found. They actually had me paint green on here for moss to make it look like it had been found in the woods somewhere, in the forest. Weird stuff. Oh, this was my excitement coming to Texas. I'd never seen ice houses before. And this was on 90. I used to come out to Richmond, and it was the Vaspinders. Is anybody from here? It was on 90, and it's now, they built over it. But I was fascinated by ice houses when I came to Texas. I'd never seen them. And so around that time, I had my boyfriend, and we went all over this part of Texas. We went down to Webster, League City, we went up to Humboldt, Houston. There was some awesome ice houses, neighborhood ice houses. Again, it's a community thing. I ended up going in the ice houses in some of the neighborhoods where they used to be. I don't know, I don't see them so much anymore. And I told people I was, doing a calendar. This ended up being a calendar of ice houses in the Houston area. And I picked the 12 coolest ice houses. I'm not much of a drinker, so my boyfriend was doing the beer drinking, and I was selling the calendar. And these sold. These are different. This ice house was on Briar Forest. I kind of lived in that in West Houston. And I was trying to hone my drawing skills, so I think I've come along a little since. That was my Buick Century. That was a long time ago. Here we go. And this one was in Eugenia. This is where I took you the other day.
Oh, okay.
This was in Morgan's Point, LaPorte, sort of in the LaPorte area. It's not there anymore, but it was a wonderful ice house with great burgers. Jimmy's.
I used to teach in Newport.
Really? I love LaPorte. Yes, there were a lot around that time. Jimmy's place, that was in the Heights. Anyway, I did 12 ice houses, the most popular ones. Printed the calendar, very, very low budget. Used handwriting, done at Kinko's, when Kinko's was still around. Very kind of crude, but I went back with the finished calendars. I had about 500, and my friend and I were just going around to the different ones, and $10 a pop, and that was a moneymaker. It was kind of fun. It was a lot of fun. I love doing stuff like that, and I've ended up doing calendars for Richmond, Rosenberg, Fort Bend County, and definitely Galveston. I've done a few for Galveston. Oh yeah, this was the center pages. I had to have trivia on ice houses. But they really bring the community together, so. And we just went on a Saturday night. I think I said as a northerner, I was a little stumped on seeing these abodes for the first time. And then I said to myself, this is a real piece of Texas. Personally, I enjoy having a cold drink in my local ice house, playing a relaxing game of pool with a friend. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Oops. Okay, this is one of my first maps. This is Richmond, Texas. I sold the copyright to this, but it was a limited copyright. So this is downtown Richmond, circled around the courthouse, all the historic buildings in Richmond. Here's the river bridge. And my house is actually on this. I'm kind of down here. I live right in this area. So I was selling these back at the Lynette, the gallery, Kimberly,
Baroness?
yeah, Baroness Gallery, yeah. Yep. And the people with the wine, there's a wine bar next door. They bought the original, and then they had I sold them a copyright. I just came up with the price for the copyright, and they actually made tea towels from this. And I'm yet to make tea towels from
Is
it.
it
It's
okay
still
if I
around.
take a picture of this?
Hmm?
Is it okay if I take a picture of
Yeah,
this?
no problem. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking.
These used to be very popular. I mean, you've got tea towels in
Mhm.
R&R. Yeah, this type of thing, yeah. I never got the tea towels made. I'd like to do that.
This is nice ideas actually, you know.
Mhm.
Everyone can make it like own art. It's like they can put it and they can
Yeah.
like present a state or cities like that, and
Mhm.
they can make it these things.
And I
This is
printed
nice,
these, I
yeah.
printed this on mugs, but mugs to me are kind of not great for business because they cost. They have a high overhead for buying mugs and creating. Maybe I'll do it. Get the mugs on sale, I can do it. Oops. Fort Bend County commemorative ornament. I did a commission for Fort Bend County for the Vincent Morales. He's our one of our commissioners. And I did a drawing for him of the courthouse. It was a big one, 2015. A big drawing, and then he was decorating his office. So I did that, and then he also purchased a bunch of prints from me, so. And then the Fort Bend Chamber got wind of this, and they asked me if I would donate it. This was a donation for the chamber way back, so they did an ornament for me, or to sell. 2018. And there it is. Yeah, there's different stages of drawing. I got the ink drawing. I always keep a copy of my art in black and white, and that's in case I do a coloring book. And I came on the crazy idea in 2015 to start doing coloring books. So I actually have a coloring book of Fort Bend County buildings, which I have at the Fort Bend Museum, so, where you're at. Yeah.
So you take a printout and then do the coloring things, or you make it again and then do the coloring things?
I just do, yeah, I will do that and then keep a print. Like I'll
print
keep
and
a
then-
print. I always
yeah.
have, yeah,
Okay, but
keep
then-
everything black and white.
Oh.
And you do a lot of black and white.
Yeah.
Should do a
Yeah.
coloring book.
Yeah.
That's an idea. there's a little scale problem, so I'm very critical of my work. These are too tiny. But that was a commission for the hotel that was renovated, and he wanted it with horse and carriage and 1920s. So that was the owner. He's still there. He has a cybersecurity company in Richmond. So that was a big one for me. Totally out of my comfort zone, working big. And Richmond, Texas, just the example of local art. There's Morales, Commissioner Morales. That's his piece in his office. And that's Youngblood. Do you know him? Did you know? Yeah, he got that, that was a commission for him at the fire station. So again, community, get out to the community. I was working on it, and I went in there one day. I said, I'm working on a drawing. Would you like to, see it? And then he loved it. So sometimes it helps, to reach out.
He retired.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah. I don't know when that was. It wasn't that long ago, maybe 8
Yeah, he
years.
retired recently.
Yeah. There's Richmond again. And I've got lots of prints of that one, and we're doing a festival there in a couple weeks.
Do you have to get
Very nice.
permission to draw some of these buildings
No,
and sell?
No,
Like if you went over there and took a picture on 3rd Street of that old theater there,
no,
and you took a picture and you drew it,
yeah,
there's
no.
no
Yeah, I've drawn
legal
that.
anything you
I
have
think
to
it's
worry
out
about?
in
Decent
public, so
question.
it's like no expectation of privacy, I would think.
I've been run off once in Galveston. I was taking pictures of a house because I just liked the house to draw. And it wasn't a commission, but people kind of charged out of the house. What are you doing? So like,
There are some architects, because I know at Texas A&M everything's copyright and or trademarked, and because the architects have
oh,
trademarked
no.
their designs or something, so you have to get permission from
I
them
haven't
because
gotten in
it's.
trouble
The
yet.
And there's
Eiffel
some
Tower
buildings-
has that kind of a restriction. You cannot photograph, draw,
Oh my
or
gosh.
film it
Oh.
for commercial use. You can do it as a tourist, but you can't take your picture, print it and sell it.
Okay, for photography. Okay.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. What if you just draw from the picture?
no, you can't draw it. It's copyrighted by the architect.
It's the same thing with Disney too. Anything Disney, you can't
When did
do
that
it because they'll
Yeah,
come
I know
after you.
about Disney, and they will pursue it, supposedly,
To the limit.
yeah.
Gosh.
The
And
Alamo,
Marvel Comics.
the Alamo is like that too, you have to have a permit to do any type of.
Really?
But I think that's a city permit type thing, but
Here's the Cole Theater. Yeah. I done postcards for this area. They sell at the gift shop, Just postcards, community stuff. They'll be at Art in the Bend in 2 weeks. So that's the little festival in Richmond, the community festival. This is very recent. It's a drawing I did of the sugar mill, and we have the 100th centennial in Sugarland. So I also montaged this and made a poster for this centennial that's coming up for the sugar mill, because they need to fix that thing. They need
That's
to,
very cool.
yeah, that just came out. And they have a very active Facebook page. So she asked me, the lady who does their Facebook page, and she's organizing this event in this July. John Wareham, Richmond again. Richmond. Historic
At
Richmond.
the Exchange, is that the
Mhm.
hotel, the Exchange?
Yeah, his name's Ken. Yeah, he's got the business on the top floor. There's the post office. That's where we used to show art. We used to have a gallery there. And there's the courthouse again. Oh, Home Depot. Okay, 2006 to 2011, yeah, I was selling appliances, and then, like I said, they pretty much had me do murals and signs, and it was fun for 6 years, and then I moved on, but it was a lot of fun. And that's me with red hair. We change. And I just these were large murals. That was probably half the size of this wall, because it's a big place, and they kept me busy. And 4 Home Depots I used to paint at.
How did you set that up with Home Depot?
They just, I started drawing my coworkers, because there's so many different types of people at Home Depot, it was a lot of fun. And, they just saw that I was drawing and painting, and bring work in sometimes, and, for lunch, and they just said, hey, you know, they made a position for me,
Oh,
making signs, and then from
Okay.
that, it grew into
okay.
murals.
So you were working there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually was hired there to work,
Uh-huh.
yeah, in 2006.
An insurance job.
Mm-hmm, yeah, exactly. Home Depot, Home Depot. That was actually one of the founders of Home Depot. Holding a drill. They wanted a Western theme. So, more Home Depot, lots of Home Depot. Yeah, and these are just simply credit cards that were done really big. They are a little blurred. Worked in appliances for a while. Another one. Oh, the coloring book. So it started around 2015. Pardon the smudges here. I don't know how that happened. My fat fingers. This is one I just, it's not out yet. What I do with the black and white drawings, when I keep all my black and white drawings, I had enough work in 2015 to do 6, 7 coloring books. I did a whole series of cats, a whole series of dogs, and I did them while I was on the job. I did my job, but it was, I was working then at ALC school, the Alternative Learning Center, and I was a monitor, and it was a very slow, boring job, and just watching the hallways, because we had kids that were criminals, juveniles, troubled kids. We had all kinds of kids there. But when it was quiet, there was downtime, and I would literally draw on the job. So I'd do all these black and white drawings, and it turned into my little coloring book side business. So drawings like this will end up in a coloring book. This is Rockport, and I'm about to, this coloring book's about to come out. So coloring books is always a good thing, Rupa. And this is the windmill tree in Rockport. An actual windmill blew over in a hurricane in, I think, 1919, and it's embedded in a tree. So I had to do all the community stuff, all the, just Fulton Mansion, anything that was out in the community, famous buildings, and I featured them in the coloring book.
Might get published in the India, so I'm expecting here too.
You can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it get published
you
over
can do
there.
that, for
Yeah.
sure. That's the good thing about nowadays.
That's
You
why
know,
I
you
said
got Amazon,
Yeah.
you can have it on Amazon, and anybody could buy it anywhere, so
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome. Aransas History Center, that's in the coloring book. I didn't want to put them all here, but here's another example of a coloring book, lots of black and white animals. That one sells at the gift store. This is one of my more popular ones, the cat coloring book.
I got that one.
Yay!
Yeah, I have that one.
The trucks, that was one of my first ones.
For the grandkids.
Mm-hmm. Historic Galveston, this is probably my best-selling one in Galveston. Yeah, it's just full of the black and white drawings.
And where-
Chickens,
where
of
do you put
course.
'em- Where do you put them when you try to get somebody to do your coloring books? You go around and just ask them if you can put your coloring
Yeah,
books
I
on for
just-
sale or what?
I'm in a couple galleries down there. I actually rent a shelf in 2 of them. And so I have a shelf space, and I just have my coloring
Oh, okay.
books there. They sell at markets and festivals as well, especially the Rockport ones. I'm kind of excited about that one. So.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these coloring books like watercolor books or just like a normal any color?
Yeah, just black and white drawings.
It's also students, kids can
Oh,
use it just watercolor
You
or
can watercolor, crayon.
prints?
The pages are a little soft, so you can use crayon. I would say color pencil. Color pencil's the best thing. I don't know about watercolor. Okay. Oh, and then this grew into my illustrating business, which I'm doing right now. This started like 4 years ago, and somebody approached me because I was in a magazine here. I was promoting myself. I had an article in my art, And this lady, Jennifer, called me and I did a book for her. And those are pretty lucrative too. Anything with illustration. And she's a teacher, so I wanted to give her a good deal too. You know, she's a teacher. This book, and then that's kind of led into me organizing the book show here. So, 'cause a lot of artists do books too. Not all, but some of us. And that's just it. It's really fun doing books because you kind of develop a character. You know, you kind of bond with the character. You draw a lot of the character, so this is a lot of fun. It's about dancing. It's a fun little book. And this is a more recent book. This is last year. And she's another teacher, and she was at the book show too. And always a good thing to illustrate books. You know. And there's a lot of people retiring and writing books, especially the teachers I know. So that was a good one. I'm doing a second one for her. I'm just getting started on it. So, in a little character, she's half bug. She's half Junebug. And it's called June's Gift. And then promotion, just another drawing, fun drawing. That was the mom and dad in the book. And here's some local magazines. If you just want to get an article, contact them. That's how I did it. So,
It's pretty regular.
okay. Fort Bend. Another Fort Bend one. This is Rosenberg right here, all the way along. There was an article I had in the local magazines. Here's the Rosenberg map. I also did a Rosenberg one. And that's Coast Magazine in Galveston. And that was a newspaper article here at the Herald in Fort Bend. And my little niche in Galveston, just examples rather like these. That's in the Etsy shop. Now, if people miss my market, I have run into people at the markets who are like, we've shopped at your Etsy shop, and that just feels really good that they know who I am and they know my work. And that's what helps a lot sometimes. And it takes just showing up for things, regular basis, and then you start getting to know your people, your clientele, or collectors. So my Etsy shop has a whole collection of the Galveston, more Galveston. And these can be considered fine art, I would say. Some people are like, well, you don't do fine art, but if that's in a gallery, it's an original, so, yeah.
It's excellent.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the edge of fine art, but in there somewhere.
Pen and ink's definitely fine
It's
art.
definitely fine art.
Yeah.
So, I
Just
don't know.
lately, I've been thinking more, last 5-10 years, I've been going towards illustration a little more. And just growing collection, originals in gallery, magnets, prints, cards, prints on Etsy and gift shops. Those are all my venues. Many venues as possible. And here's a commission, just a house in Galveston. Actually, that was in Chicago. Sometimes I get weird, yeah, that was someone who contacted me. And they got their original, and then I said, okay, I can do prints, you know, because they had a lot of, it was a family residence, a large family and I said, oh, would you like prints? So they wanted prints, so I made probably twice as much with the prints. So you know about that, and cards, you know, sometimes they want more, so you can always beef up your commissions.
It's like, would you like fries with that?
Exactly, you have to learn to sell.
Mhm.
Exactly, Eugenia. Work for me. There it is. It's just a promotion. Galveston. That was a show I did at G Lee Gallery, which is now, what's he called?
Texas Coastal.
Yeah,
Artists.
Texas Coastal Artists in Galveston. And these kind of did well last year. I did ornaments, Galveston ornaments at the gift shops. And here's the Galveston Victorians coloring, that's brand new too. And that's at a couple gift shops and galleries in Galveston. And this is just, the method to the madness is all the commissions I've had over time. I take them, I got my black and white, so I do a coloring book, so I kind of capitalize on that a little bit, so. And I don't ask people permission, and maybe I should. Your house is in a book, are you okay with that? I don't think they would complain.
They may want royalties if you do that.
Oh my gosh, there it is, yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Did I talk enough? Because usually I rush through things and I'm like, yeah. Is it noon yet? I'm not sure what time it is.
12:30.
How'd you do?